All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Jenna Wood, and I am a registered dietitian here with the Giant Company. If you're new to our classes, welcome. And of course, if you are a returning customer, welcome back. Today's class, this is actually our final Feature Friday of the year, and we are talking about Kashi cereals. So if you're unfamiliar with Feature Friday, the idea of this class is we highlight a brand, a product, some specific thing and do the deepest dive we can about the background of the company, anything to call out, and then the nutrition of the products, followed by a really simple recipe. So let us dive in. So, Kashi cereals, particularly the Kashi Go line that we're going to talk about more today, is our dietitian's pick of the month. This is the kind of virtual page if you attend, or not the right word, if you view our circular online, you will see this page here. But these are the two flavor callouts that we have too. So, a little bit about Kashi history. So, I learned some things today about Kashi. So Kashi was founded in La Jolla, California. I was just in La Jolla back in October. They have a ton of sea lions and pelicans. It's the coolest place. But back in 1984, by Gail and Philip Tober, they were pioneers in the natural health food movement at the time. The Taubers were inspired by the virtues of the kosher food standard kashrut and by Michio Kushi, who was a Japanese philosopher who popularized the macrobiotic diet here in the Western world. So it was already a very popular thing for a long time in the East, but he made it a little bit more mainstream here. So a lot of the tenets of the macrobiotic diet, it's very plant-based, with almost 50% of the diet coming from whole grains. So definitely a big part of the Kashi story. They combined those two names, the Kashrut and Michio Kushi's last name, to come up with their company name, Kashi. So now you know. So their mission is to share with the world the possibilities of natural food that does good for people who eat it and for the planet it grows from. Their foods have always represented a healthy lifestyle, but of course, as you know from attending our classes and just living, what it means to be healthy and how to get there looks very different for everybody. That's why they create a variety of products, flavors, tips, inspiration, just like you have from our classes to help you. So I will touch on the different varieties they offer. Again, we're highlighting the Kashi Go, but they do offer a variety of products. So a big call out with the line we're talking about today, the Kashi Go. We're going to be talking about fiber and we're talking about protein, but a lot of their advertisements about this particular line have to do with, protein's a big thing right now. Everybody's talking about protein, asking, am I getting enough? Like that's beyond the scope of today's call. However, they're really promoting the fact that you don't have to necessarily eat meat all day long, or like a lot of their videos are like, people have raw eggs and beef and just a lot of foods that maybe we don't want to eat all the time. And here on the one side, it says like bye-bye cricket powder, which cricket protein powder is certainly a thing. There are protein bars and things that have it, but there's lots of things people are doing to get protein. But what's really nice about a lot of foods, but particularly the Kashi Go we'll talk about, is that you not only get protein, but you're also getting fiber, which most of us aren't getting enough of. So it's a nice kind of double whammy there. So the products again that we're talking about today from Kashi are the Kashi Go line. I'll show you a couple others we carry, but these are how many do we have here? Six? Yeah, six different flavors of the Kashi Go protein fiber cereal. So we have the peanut butter, the original, chocolate, almond flax, mixed berry, and cinnamon. Of course, you're going to find these in the regular cereal aisle of your local Giant or Martin's. And with all of my slides, anytime you see something underlined, it typically means it's a link. So you can click directly on Giant or Martin's and it'll bring you to the page. They are on sale this week. I think it's like 2 for $8. A really great deal to get these cereals. And the sale is for all of their different varieties. So Kashi cereals, again, what are some different call outs for the brand itself? I just thought this was a pretty picture. So the Giant Company, so Giant and Martin's, we carry a variety of their options from the Kashi Go, wheat biscuits, clusters, loops, waffle bites, really any kind of cereal you are looking for, they typically have a variety for it. All Kashi cereals that we carry here earn guiding stars. And that's pretty incredible considering there's a lot of cereals out there that do not. And this is going to be attributed to the whole grains, the fiber, the vitamins and minerals. Of course, they all lose a little bit of points from added sugar, which we're going to talk about, but many of them earn 1 or 2 stars. All of them do, but many of them are 2 stars. They are kosher, which going back to the, their name origin, that makes sense. There are many vegan options. Not all of them are because some do have honey, which I'll call out in some of the flavors I show, but many are vegan. Like, I don't think any of them, like, don't quote me, but I looked at every cereal we carry of theirs, and I don't think any of them contain dairy. Some of them will have honey, but I don't think there's any other reason they would necessarily not be. And they have some organic varieties. The Kashi Go is not, but like the trying to think which one. Some of the, I think the wheat biscuits and different ones are. So let's look at each of the foods. So this is the first of the Kashi Go. This is a 2-star product, guiding stars. So again, a big call out for that 10 grams of fiber, 10 grams of protein, and this is the peanut butter crunch. Now, I actually forgot to ask in my thing here, have you ever had Kashi cereal? I always forget to ask my polls. I write them and then I forget. So who has actually tried Kashi cereals? I'm gonna go, let's see, go back on this page while I'm asking that. Okay, give it a couple more seconds here. Okay, I was so close. About 60%, it was 60% like a second ago. So 60% of you have said yes, you have tried Kashi. 40% have said no. So hopefully learning a little bit more about them will either let you know more about them and intrigue you, or, there's so many varieties, which I think people don't realize. All right, I have 2 other polls that hopefully I don't forget about. But again, this is the peanut butter crunch flavor. The ingredients for the flavored varieties of the crunch Kashi Go are very similar, but I'll walk through them. And I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about some of the ingredients that I know people probably have questions about. So the main ingredient is going to be soy flakes, which I'm going to touch on, brown rice syrup, peanut butter. Of course, this is a peanut flavor, puffed whole grain blend. So this is one that's very common in the 3 or more than 3, the 6 varieties. It has hard red wheat, triticale, which is another type of gluten-containing grain, brown rice, and rye. And they are puffed, which you can kind of see in some of the pictures, cane sugar, whole grain oats, acacia gum, canola oil, oat flour, molasses, sea salt, peanut oil, and then rosemary extract for freshness. Of course, has the allergy statement. It contains soy, peanuts, and wheat. And then here, I have to move myself. You can see, so a serving is 3/4 of a cup. You always want to check the serving size because some of their cereals, it is a cup or more. These are a little bit more dense, so 3/4 of a cup. I would consider it almost like a granola in that way, that's what the serving size is. 220 calories, 9 grams of fat, most of which are going to be unsaturated. You think about, the peanut butter and the whole grains, we get unsaturated fats from, but also the canola and the peanut oil. This one, actually, I think all of them are considered low sodium. So this one is the highest at 140 milligrams, but that's still low sodium. Total carbs is 33 grams, which is right around 2 carb counts. So a carb count would be 15 grams of carbs. So 33 is right around that 2 carb count amount. But 10 grams of that is fiber, which in our classes, we talk a little bit about how our body digests or doesn't digest fiber. And so 10 grams is quite a lot, 5 of which are soluble and 5 of which are insoluble, which work a little bit differently in our bodies to help with blood sugar management, keeping us full, digestion. So a lot of different call outs there. But I like the fact that there's some of both. And then total sugar. So this has 9 grams of added sugar, which I read a million reviews for these cereals, and some people are still like up in arms about 9 grams. But to me, even as a dietitian, like 9 grams is about a little over 2 teaspoons of sugar, which to me is not a lot. Like that's, if you were going to drizzle some honey on your yogurt or your cereal or your tea, like, and we're not measuring, it's very easy to go way over that. So to me, you still want it to taste nice. So 2 teaspoons to me is not too bad. Of course, you could always eat a smaller portion too and have less. And then 10 grams of protein, again, coming from things like the whole grains, the soy, the peanuts. Tons of different vitamins, minerals, calcium, iron, which a lot of cereals have. You will notice, so it's not a ton of these vitamins and minerals. Some other cereals are fortified with a lot of vitamins and minerals, which will make this almost look like a multivitamin. These are just naturally occurring vitamins and minerals from the whole grains, the peanuts, the oils, different things like that. So it's not going to be crazy high levels, but still good, a good serving of many of them. And then, of course, a lot of food packages, not these, but sometimes you'll see that dual column label, which will say, like, if it's with a cup of skim milk, these are the nutrients. So, like, if you're serving it with milk, you'll also get vitamin D and other things, more calcium. All right, so let us keep going. So this is the next flavor, the mixed berry crunch. Again, very similar ingredients. Actually, I will say the one difference here is that this one has the acacia gum, which I'm going to talk about. The mixed berry crunch, this one I don't think has the acacia gum. No, root fiber, which I'm also going to talk about on another slide. But it has the soy flakes, the brown rice syrup, that puffed whole grain medley blend we talked about on the previous slide. It does have 2 different dried fruits. So it has cranberries and it has blueberries, which I thought was kind of surprising when I heard mixed berry. Like to me, I'd think like blueberries and strawberries, but it's cranberry, which I think is really nice, seasonally. It also has whole grain oats, the canola oil, those types of things. The last one I think had rosemary extract for freshness. This one has vitamin E for freshness. In terms of nutrition, it's going to be a little lower in calories. So I think 20 fewer calories because it doesn't have that peanut oil and the peanut butter. So 200 calories total for that 3/4 serving, 3.5 grams of total fat, all of which is coming from unsaturated sources. Very low sodium, so it's going to be that 60 milligrams of sodium, a little bit higher in carbs, so 40 grams. So, a couple more carb counts, but still going to have that 10 grams of fiber, a little split. So 6 are soluble, 4 are insoluble. Same amount of sugar. So that just means the remaining extra are coming from different types of starches that might be in here. So, the chicory root fiber might have a little bit, the berries, the oats, all that type, oat fiber is in here. Same amount of protein, and then very similar nutrition breakdown for the different vitamins and minerals. Also 2 guiding stars. This one, so of all of the Kashi Go flavors, this one intrigues me the most because I love cinnamon anything. Very similar nutrition, of course. It has similar ingredients to the mixed berry, but of course doesn't have the berries and instead has cinnamon. So you'll see, I think it's the same amount of calories, so it's likely there's going to be more of that puffed cereal as opposed to the berries, but it has the cinnamon, the oat flour or oat fiber, the chicory root fiber, oats, that blend, and of course the soy flakes. Very similar nutrition to the last one. So 3.5 grams of total fat, all of it coming from poly or monounsaturated sources, still low sodium, 38 grams of carbs. Again, 10 of the fiber, similar split. And this one has 10 grams of added sugar for the 3/4 cup serving. Very similar nutrition profile here too. Okay, so this one is slightly different that I do want to call out. So this is the Kashi Go Original. This one has 12 grams of both protein and fiber. The ingredients are a little different. So instead of soy flakes being the first ingredient, you're going to see here that puffed whole grain blend. So the hard red wheat, the triticale, the brown rice, and rye are going to be the first ingredients because this is predominantly what this one is. Instead of the soy flakes, it has soy protein concentrate. Similar nutrition. I believe it just wouldn't have the type of fibers. But this one also has corn flour, cornmeal, the oat fiber. It has wheat bran, which I don't think was an ingredient in the others. It does have soy flour, so it has soy in different ways. The corn bran. And so this one is not vegan. So I did mention there are some that are not because this one has honey. And then it also has even more types of grains because again, thinking back to the origins of this brand, and their, strong belief in the macrobiotic diet, which is 50% whole grains, it makes sense all the different types of whole grains like the barley and buckwheat and things you'll find here. A little bit of salt, still considered low sodium. And then this one has annatto for color, which would just be kind of an orangey color, which it's not very colored, but it is a natural color. Similar nutrition as well. The difference here being the serving is 1¼ cup, 200 calories. Because thinking, it doesn't have the dried fruit, it doesn't have the soy flakes, it doesn't have trying to think what else, the peanut butter and things that some of the other ones did. 2 total grams of fat. The math is math in here, but it's probably, 1 gram of polyunsaturated, probably half of the mono, and then maybe half somewhere. So it kind of just depends. If it's under 0.5, you don't have to write it fully there. So 2 total grams of fat, though, still pretty low. The low sodium, 45 grams of carbs. But again, this one has 12 grams of fiber instead. A little bit more of a shift to being that insoluble fiber. That's what kind of adds a lot of bulk and helps us go to the bathroom, as opposed to soluble that tends to help with things like cholesterol and keeping us full and blood sugar. But all types of fiber are important. This one only has 8 grams of added sugar, which is right on the money of that 2 teaspoons. But again, this is for a larger quantity too. So depending if you're eating it as a cereal or a topping, you're going to have to think through, obviously the nutrition will be different. 12 grams of protein, so a little bit more here. Still similar nutrition, a little bit of calcium, still a little bit of iron, which is nice. That's coming from possibly the soy or the whole grains, but there's no like added iron here. Like normally for some cereals, you'll see like ferrous sulfate or different things being added for those vitamins and minerals. Some potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, zinc, again, all coming from those whole foods. So some call outs just because they're all very similar. 10 grams of fiber, 10 grams of protein, except for that original flavor that had 12 for both. It's a mix of soluble and insoluble fibers. They're all low sodium. They all have 10 or fewer grams, except for that, I think one of them might have been 11, but or one of their other cereals, I think, has 11, but 10 or fewer grams of added sugar. And they're all, so I know this is important to a lot of people, they're all sweetened with a combination of cane sugar, molasses, and brown rice syrup. Some people don't like artificial sweeteners and things, which if you're on the market for a higher protein cereal, many of them out there have some type of sweetener, and it could be something like stevia or monk fruit that are quote unquote natural, but they might still have a flavor to you that you don't like. So these will not have any of those artificial sweeteners. So that's again, there's kind of that balance of we all like a little sweetness, but do you want it artificially sweetened, or which would lower the carbs and sugar, or do you just want a little added sugar and not have those? So it's all about choices. So some of the ingredients I did want to call out because I figured we'd get questions about. The first being soy flakes. So, I think there's still, unfortunately, a lot of misinformation and fear around soy, but soy is such a beneficial and nutritious food, especially in a more whole form, which soy flakes would be. So soy flakes are when you take a whole soybean and it's cracked, dehulled, and flaked. And flaked means it's kind of rolled almost similarly to like old-fashioned oats. Then they're defatted, so typically they remove some of the fat, and toasted. And soy flakes are used not only in cereals, but also in like vegetarian foods and different things like that. Soy is a complete protein, so a complete plant protein. It has fiber. So again, unlike animal sources of protein, we can get fiber from plant-based sources, and then tons of vitamins and minerals, especially things like calcium. Then brown rice syrup, which is not always something you see frequently. This is a vegan sweetener, so it's made from rice, unlike honey, which is not vegan. And it's also a corn syrup alternative. So there are people who don't want corn syrup, so this is an alternative for that crowd too. It's made from brown rice, of course. It has a slightly like caramelized taste, and for a lot of cereals and bars and things that it's found in, it can add a chewiness too. Chicory root fiber is going to be another ingredient that was in most of them except for, I think, the peanut butter flavor. This is a prebiotic fiber. So if you remember from some of our classes, prebiotic means it helps feed the probiotics in our gut. So really important for gut health. But chicory root fiber, the main compound is inulin, which is a really heavily researched type of prebiotic fiber. It's potentially beneficial for digestive health, for blood sugar management. However, for some really sensitive people, and just if it's consumed in high quantities, it can cause gas and bloating. Again, for some people, and if you go from eating none to eating a lot of it, and that's not uncommon. So, like you're adding something, the probiotics, those bacteria in your gut are eating it, and the gas is something they're producing as a natural byproduct. If it's excessive or uncomfortable, of course, that would be, reason to back out. But, starting slowly with something like this, making sure you're drinking plenty of water and getting some movement can really help with some of those symptoms. I would also add people who have like diagnosed IBS and other GI conditions. Certainly, you would want to ask, your doctor what they think, but we all act very differently to these ingredients. So just proceed. I wouldn't eat 2 cups a day to start. And then, of course, the acacia gum, which is also known as gum arabic. So sometimes you'll see other products say that. This product has been used for thousands of years in traditional medicine, food, woodworking, like really a lot of things. So it's made from the bark of the acacia tree. It has similar health benefits to inulin. It is a prebiotic soluble dietary fiber. So the big call out here is that it has so much fiber, some coming from the grains, but also, again, coming from these added fibers, which are approved by the FDA to be a source of dietary fiber in food products. Not all fibers that are added to foods can be considered. These are the ones that actually have research and things behind them. And then I just wanted to throw a couple other cereals that they carry in here so you see the variety that they have. This is an organic line. This is a vegan one. I think somebody might have asked, do they have any gluten-free options? It doesn't explicitly say gluten-free, I don't think, but it also doesn't say contains wheat. So I would check that. But it is whole grain oats, rice, blueberry granola clusters. Again, I'm not seeing any wheat containing ingredients. Now, interesting here, though, this one does have some iron added. So this cereal is 80% of your daily value of iron, so which a lot of cereals are. But I wanted to call that out with the Kashi Go. They don't have, synthetic vitamins, minerals added. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but just knowing, like some people, we recommend eating cereals to get some iron. This would be a great one for that. 11 grams of added sugar. Now, their cereals, all of them do still have fiber and protein. It's just the Kashi Go line is such a good source. But this has 3 grams of fiber and 5 grams of protein. So this one, because I'm a child, this one is my favorite of their cereals because I love anything maple flavored. And this has real maple as the flavor, but this is their maple waffle bites. They're delicious. I've been eating them as a snack, so they're very good. But this one is a whole wheat flour, whole oat flour, a little bit of cane sugar, cornmeal. It has chickpea flour. I'm all about like bean flours, maple syrup, a little canola, salt, cinnamon. Intriguing has carrot and blueberry juice for color, as well as annatto extract. 140 calories for a cup, so a good serving. And again, this still does have 4 grams of fiber, 4 grams of protein for something you would think of as being like a sweet treat. That's not too bad. And it does earn 1 guiding star still. These are low sodium too. So their wheat biscuits are also so delicious. So this is the Cinnamon Harvest, also organic. For people who are really looking for like simple ingredient lists, their wheat biscuits are perfect for that. This one's whole grain wheat, cane sugar, cinnamon flavor. It is, it does have wheat as the allergen, but it is vegan. Now, wheat biscuits, of course, are going to be a good source of fiber. This one is 7 grams of fiber and 7 grams of protein as well. So this one's one of my other favorites. 2 guiding stars here. Alrighty. So we're going to shift gears a little bit, talk about ways to use the cereals, and then I'm going to make a very, very simple recipe with it. Oh, what are other people saying about Kashi Go? Because you'll hear our team talk about it throughout the week, but I found some reviews. So finally, a great tasting fiber cereal that doesn't taste like cardboard. Okay, good to know. Cereal preferences can be divisive, but everyone in my household enjoys this Kashi Go cereal. It's a bit on the harder side, so there's a crunch to it, especially if you're not soaking it in milk. But even their mom enjoys it as a plain snack. Too many chocolate flavored cereals have watered down chocolate flavor, but the Kashi Go chocolate delivers on the full chocolate flavor with the crunch and fiber that they want to stay full. They just tried it. They really liked it. I need more protein and fiber in my diet, and this really helps. Never had the one. So there have been other versions of this. They've never had the one it replaced, so they can't compare, but they think it's very tasty. They had it with their protein yogurt for even more protein, and they mixed some fresh berries. Super scrumptious. It might be a bit rough. So again, I think like if you're not used to chewing your cereal, like an oatmeal or something, it's going to be crunchy. But it's excellent for what it's worth. The cereal is what got me into Kashi, and every single cereal has always had me come back for more, and I can devour the same flavor every day. Keep up the good work. Tons of recipes on their website. So again, I think some of us are making recipes with Kashi throughout the week. I just thought some of these looked really fun, like the PB coffee breakfast shake. Of course, that's with the Kashi Go, but the chai harvest cereal, that sounds delicious. You make like a chai tea and then use that as your milk, like an unsweetened, I think. Apple pie overnight wheat biscuits, like all of their recipes look so good. And just unique ways to use cereal. Of course, there are tons of different ways to use cereal, and I do have another poll. You're all going to think I'm crazy, which is fine. So, what comes first, or what goes first? Are you team milk has to be poured first, cereal is poured first, or it doesn't matter? Either way is fine. What do we think? I'm going to leave this up for a second because I am not in the majority when it comes to this. Let's see. I think Zach is on our call today. I'm intrigued to hear what he thinks. Let's see. I'll give it another second. Okay, I'm gonna end the poll. So you would think most people, they're gonna pour that cereal in the bowl first. To me, I do not like soggy cereal, like a second of it. So I am team milk first. And then I also think I portion better when I'm pouring milk first. So that's how I do it. 13 people agree with me, so they're my people. It's fine. And then, of course, some people say either way works first, or either way is fine, which agreed. Either way is fine. However, I'm definitely a team milk first. I'm glad there's some people who agree. Tons of different ways to use Kashi cereals. Of course, with milk, you can certainly on parfaits or yogurt bowls, very common. That's what we're doing today. Smoothie bowls or smoothies, like as an ingredient, which you can see here. Pie crust. I think Shayna's making a galette with them. You can fold it into the batter for muffins, pancakes, waffles, or put it on top. Making a trail mix, frozen yogurt bark, which they have a recipe for, homemade cereal bars, ice cream toppings. The plain one, like the plain kashigo, you can use as a breading or salad topper. So there's tons of different ways you can use cereal. Okay. So our recipe today, we are doing a Kashi Go Crunch yogurt parfait. I think it looks really nice. So the recipe is so simple. Of course, it's two guiding stars. It's a parfait. I probably don't need to walk you through every step, but we are using a cup of, this says the berry, but I'm gonna let you pick. So either the mixed berry or any flavor of the Kashi Go. You're doing about, so it's a quarter cup of strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries, fresh or frozen. I just have blueberries and raspberries today. And then 5.3 ounces of non-fat Greek yogurt. You could do plant-based yogurt. I am just using our big container. And so it's going to be about 2/3 of a cup is about that amount. And then fresh mint if you like to. So this makes one serving, which is going to have, it does have a good bit of carbs, of course. So much of it is fiber though, which we don't fully digest. 17 grams of fiber. So if you're not high on fiber normally, I would say add fiber slowly into your diet. 17 grams is quite a lot, but it also has 30 grams of protein. So this should keep you so full. You know, many of us eat something and then we're hungry right away. That should not happen with this. So I'm going to stop sharing quickly. I'm going to ask another poll. Oh, I know we're right at 12:30 if you have to go, but I'm just going to make our recipe now. So which cereal should I use in my parfait? Should I use the peanut butter crunch or the mixed berry? Which, again, I will show you. Here's the mixed berry, which has the cranberries and the blueberries, and then the peanut butter crunch. Both will work just fine. Oh, it's gone. It flipped. I told Shane, I'm like, they're gonna pick the peanut butter. Alrighty, so I'm gonna stop. So 64% of you said the mixed berry, so I will go with the mixed berry. Wonderful. Again, you could do either. So we're gonna do the mixed berry. So I'm just gonna use like a little mason jar. But I like, this has a lid, so you certainly could prep these. I would not necessarily add the Kashi Go cereal if you're gonna prep them unless you like softened cereal, then you do you. But something like, it's very similar to like a granola in texture. So I would layer the yogurt and the fruit. And then, when you're ready to eat it, add the kashigo. But all right. All the berries. So yeah, it's going to be sort of like a granola. That actually looks very nice. All right, so we're going to put some on the bottom. So the recipe calls for like a cup, which is more than the serving. So remember, the serving was 3/4 of a cup. So then we're going to just basically layer our ingredients. So this is our non-fat Greek yogurt here. A little bit more on the bottom. I'm making a mess on the counter. Okay. So some Greek yogurt. I knew I wasn't going to make it pretty. I never do. That is not my It's going to taste great. It doesn't have to be pretty. Then in my colander here, I do have the water. I have raspberries and blueberries. So I'm just going to add these in. We're just going to layer them. We're going to do a little bit more cereal. Look at that. Oh, there's one of the dried cranberries. Beautiful. Some berries. I think I'm going to do most of the berries in this layer. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Then we're going to do just a little bit more yogurt. So we top off with our Kashi dough. Looks so good. Okay. Do a raspberry, a blueberry, and then it does call for fresh mint, so I did add. Look how pretty that looks. I'm very excited. This is my lunch, which should keep me really full, right? All that fiber, all that protein from the Kashi Go mixed berry crunch. It is going to be crunchy. I like that, soft with the crunchy balance there. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so, so much for joining me today. As always, I hope you enjoyed learning about Kashi, especially their Kashi Go new line that has the 10 grams of fiber and the 10 grams of protein. As always, thank you. Take care.